Good morning, class 12th. So for today our topic is capacitors. Before we start the capacitor, we must understand the behavior of conductor when we place them in the electric field. And the conductor, for the convenience, we are taking to be a spherical conductor. So let us see how does a spherical conductor behaves when we put it there in the electric field. So in case you are given a spherical conductor here and you are injecting in some charge here, say positive charge here. So when we are inducting the charge appears uniformly over the surface. It is not that at the point where you are injecting the charge stays there only. No, it spreads uniformly, and this is a conductor. Either we call this a conductor or a shell. Conducting shell. So it can be a solid conductor or a conducting shell. So whatever the charge we are giving, that spreads out uniformly at the surface. So this is first property. So the first property of the conductor is that the charge spreads uniformly over the surface of a conductor. When the charge is staying at the surface, is there any charge inside the conducting shell? No, there is no charge enclosed by the shell. That means electric field inside the conducting shell will be zero. This part we proved when we were doing the electric field using the spherical shell using the Gaussian theorem. Since the charge encloses zero, therefore electric field inside the conductor should be zero. This is another property of the spherical shell. Now when the electric field is zero, we already are aware of the relation between the electric field and the potential. So what is that? Isn't that electric field is equal to minus dV by dr is the electric field, V is the potential, and we are taking the derivative here. We proved that before, and the minus sign signifies that direction of electric field is same as the direction in which the potential is falling. We also made it clear that electric field, since is a vector quantity, so this whole should be a vector quantity. What do we call this? This is known as potential gradient. This term is known as potential gradient. We are going to study it in the third chapter also when we are going to study the potentiometer. So electric field is a vector quantity, and dy by dr, which is the potential gradient, this also is a vector term, whereas V is a scalar term, right? So tell me, when the electric field is zero, can we rewrite this expression as 0 is equal to minus dV by dr, and this thing is a derivative. Derivative of what is 0? The derivative of a constant is 0. That implies that okay, V should be constant. That means although electric field inside the charged shell or a conductor is 0, but V is having certain value which is constant. So throughout from the center to the surface, potential should be constant. Potential should be constant. Let us see the expression of electric field at the surface. Inside the electric field is 0, but at the surface what is the value? Let us recall that we studied that electric field at the surface is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. This was the expression where r is the radius, and q is the charge which is there at the surface. Isn't that this thing? If I take this 4 pi r square from here and q in the denominator, what is this? Isn't that q divided by 4 pi r square, and what is 4 pi r square? Isn't it the surface area? So the expression comes out to be q divided by a. and of course epsilon naught is there, and this thing is charge per unit area. What is this? It is the surface charge density. This thing can be written as sigma. So what the expression comes out to be? The expression comes out to be, okay, this is sigma by epsilon naught. That means the electric field value at the surface in terms of surface charge density is sigma by epsilon naught. And what is the direction, children? Because electric field is a vector quantity, if I am saying that, okay, at this particular point the value of the electric field is sigma by epsilon naught, then there should be some direction. Easy. Sphere is positively charged, and due to the positive charge, what is the direction? Should be radially outward. Should be radially outward. So can I write here along with this, if I have to put a vector sign, this is r cap, and put a vector sign. This indicates that, okay, electric field, vector electric field is sigma by epsilon naught r cap. R cap is radially outwards. So this becomes the fourth property here, that electric field at the surface of the conducting shell or a solid conductor is sigma by epsilon naught. All these four properties we are going to use when we'll jump to capacitors. So let us now come to the capacitors. So let us start with the capacitor. Basic definition first. Have a look at the board. Capacitor is a device which is used to store the charge. Capacitor is a device which is used to store charge, and if you are giving charge to any object, that means you are actually storing some potential energy. So we can redefine it saying that, okay, this is a device which stores electrical energy also. How can we prove this? For example, this is a conductor which is positively charged. I want to give some more charge to this. Isn't that I need to do some effort? Because this positively charged cylinder is going to offer an objection, offer a repulsive force, and against that repulsive force I need to do some work. And whatever the work I am doing, that is stored in the form of electrical energy. That is why we are saying that, okay, capacitor is a device which stores electrical energy. There are three types of capacitor. One is a spherical capacitor, second is parallel plate capacitor, and the third one is a cylindrical capacitor. Out of these three configuration, we have to study parallel plate capacitor, which is in our syllabus. And to understand the basic concept, basic principle of the capacitor, we'll take the help of a spherical conductor first, and then we'll go to the plate, which is a conducting plate. With the help of the conducting plate and the spherical conductor, we'll try to understand the basic principle of the capacitor. In the spherical capacitor, the most easy configuration is you just simply a spherical ball which is a conductor. This also is a capacitor. So we'll keep our focus on this spherical conductor which is behaving like a capacitor. So assuming that you are given a spherical capacitor conductor here, and you are injecting in some charge, so the charge of course will come at the surface and it will distribute itself uniformly over the surface. Assuming that the charge that is spread over the surface is a Q, and the radius of the sphere is R. Obviously, charge which is deposited at the surface is going to build the potential also. So what is the potential of this capacitor, spherical capacitor here at the surface? We all remember the formula, it is Q by R. We have taken the radius of this spherical conductor to be R. So it is V is equal to KQ by R. This is the potential at the surface. But I want is that I want to increase the charge. I want that, let us give more charge to the conductor. If I am injecting in more charge to the capacitor, isn't that Q is going to rise? That means V also will rise, right? And if I want that, okay, at a constant potential, that the potential should not rise and I should keep giving the charge to this spherical conductor, then how much maximum charge can the conductor hold when the potential is constant? That we call as the capacity of this spherical conductor. So capacitance is the capacity to hold the charge or to store the energy, and we denote that by C. So it is clear that this is proportional to the charge Q. If more and more charge is deposited over the surface, that means its capacity is increasing, but that capacity should increase at a constant V. So I say that okay, capacitance is directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to the potential, or it is, if I just remove the proportionality constant, I have to put is equal to sign and some constant K. The experimental value of that K is 1. So the formula comes out to be C is equal to Q by V. And if I want to define capacitance from here, I will define that okay, C is the amount of charge deposited at a unit voltage. So it is the amount of charge deposited when the voltage is kept constant, 1 volt. So if I take V here to be 1 volt, then what is the value of C? The C value comes out to be Q. That means C capacitance is defined as the amount of the charge that is given to the spherical conductor when the potential is 1 volt. That means I do not want the potential to rise, like it was clear from here. When we increase the charge, potential too will increase. I do not want the potential to rise. I want to keep it 1 volt, and I want to inject in the maximum charge that the spherical conductor can hold, keeping the potential 1 volt. That maximum charge that the spherical conductor can hold at 1 volt is what we call the capacity of this conductor. So the formula that we have just understood for the C capacitance is, it is Q by V. We can note down the definition that C is the amount of charge, maximum charge, that can be deposited at the surface of the conductor at a unit potential. What about the SI unit? SI unit is simple. For charge, the SI unit is coulomb. For V, which is the potential, the SI unit is volts. So the SI unit becomes coulombs per volt, or there is a very simple unit also for this, and the SI unit for this you can write down as farad, denoted by capital F, or you can write it as FARAD, because it is a scientist name, so the first letter should be a small letter in case I am writing the complete name, and in case I am just writing the first letter, should be written with capital F. So the SI unit is farad. There are other commercial units also, and what are the commercial units? Commercial units mean the units that are used commercially, that are used there in the market. The capacitor, when we go out in the market and purchase the capacitor, the values that are written over there are either you will see microfarad, or you will see another unit which is picofarad. These are the commercial units, microfarad and picofarad. That means we need only the capacitor of the capacitance in microfarad or picofarad only. That serves our purpose. Let us obtain a more simplified formula for the capacitance. The formula we have just obtained is, that we are going to use is Q by V. And for the surface, the value of the potential is Q divided by, what is the value of V? K Q by R. We are going to use a capital R sign here because the radius I have taken to be R, and this is the capacitance that we are calculating for this spherical conductor. Charge cancels out, and what I am left with, C is equal to R divided by K. Let us put the value of the K here. So this value of K comes out to be R by 4 pi epsilon naught. What does this mean? This capacitance depends on how many parameters? 4 pi in case is a constant. It depends on epsilon, which is a medium specific property, permittivity of the medium. R depends upon the radius, depends upon the dimension. That means capacitor has nothing to do with the charge and the potential. Like I was explaining you that if I just inject in more and more of the charge over the sphere, that means its potential should also rise. If Q is rising here, potential is also rising. That means the division remains same, the division remains constant. So there is no difference. It does not make any difference what is the amount of the charge that we are giving, because that will rise the potential equally, unless and until we keep the potential same. How we are going to do that? We are going to understand that when we are going to study the parallel plate capacitor. But for the time being, yes, in the exam the question may ask that capacitance, does it depend upon the charge? No. Does it depend upon the potential? No. Why? Because they two are interrelated. More is the charge means that more is the potential, less is the charge means less is the potential, and the division, the ratio remains same. When we simplify it, we get the simple formula that C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught R. It is an important formula. That means for this spherical capacitor, capacitance comes out to be 4 pi epsilon naught R. More is the radius, bigger is the sphere, bigger is the capacitance. If I take the intervening medium to be say air, and I am enlarging the sphere, that means the capacitance should increase. From this formula, what you can do is that you can calculate the capacitance of the earth. Since earth is a spherical conductor, so radius of the earth, we are calculating capacitance of the earth. Radius of the earth is 6400 kilometer. And if we calculate the capacitance of earth from this formula, putting in these values here, what will I get is, this should be 10 to the power 6 here, 6.4 into 10 to the power 6 meters, and this value is given here. So the value of the capacitance of earth comes out to be 711 microfarad, which is a huge value, This is the value of the capacitance of earth. Now the question arises, why do we say that the earth is at a zero potential? This is the reason. And if I go back to this formula and put this value of capacitance to be infinite, let us see what is going to happen. I am saying that okay, V is equal to Q by C, and taking the value to be infinite, whatever the charge it is storing, but the capacitance is infinite. So anything divided by infinity is zero. So I'll take that okay, the potential of earth is taken as 0. Why the potential of earth is taken as 0? Because the capacitance that we have calculated is 711 microfarad, which is a huge value, and I can take that for approximation infinity, and the potential becomes then 0. That is why for all the practical purpose, and when we will come to the second chapter and do the network solving, then we'll take earth as earth at the 0 potential. Let us do one more topic related to the spherical conductor, that in case from the infinity I want to bring a charge, a very small charge dq here, and want to inject it into the sphere. Obviously the charge will come at the surface and redistribute equally, uniformly over the surface. Isn't that the charge that I am going to bring from the infinity is going to experience some objection from the spherical shell? What kind of objection? Charge is positive that I am going to bring from infinity. This shell too is positively charged, so it is going to repel. But I am doing work in bringing this charge here to the surface against that force of repulsion offered by this spherical conductor. So I need to find out that okay, how much work that I need to do, because the amount of the work that I need to do in bringing the charge at the surface will be stored in the form of potential energy. So how to calculate the work done? Since the charge that I am bringing from the infinity to this point is dq, which is very small, so the very small amount of the work will be done. So this will be is equal to, let us go back to our formula that we studied before. What was that formula? Work done or the energy stored will be Q into V, right? So this formula can be written as dq into V. Why dq? A small amount of charge, an installment of charge dq is injected into the spherical conductor. If I am bringing such several installment of dq, one after another, one installment, I have to do work. Why? Because objection faced by the conductor. Another installment of dq, more objection, because now the positive charge is increasing gradually in strength. That means more and more of the positive charge I am bringing from the infinity, more and stronger objection it will face from the spherical conductor, and more of the effort I need to do. So the total work done can be obtained by using the mathematical tool here. So integrating both the sides and assuming that the charge, since I am integrating with respect to q, so I have to put the limit. The minimum charge on the spherical conductor can be 0 and maximum charge can be, say, capital Q. This V, is this V a constant? No, it is not a constant, it is a charge dependent property. Let us use the formula for the capacitance. C is equal to Q by V. So let us use the formula C is equal to Q by V. From here I can find the value of the V. It implies that okay, V can be taken as Q by C. I am going to use this value here. So what will I get? I will get, when we solve this complete expression, I will get that okay, W is equal to integration Q by C dq, and the integration going from 0 to Q. Let us solve it. C is a constant, can be taken out, and we are left with Q. Integration of Q is Q square by 2. So the final expression comes out to be half Q square by 2C. Q square by 2C. And since I have to take the maximum limit capital Q, so the formula comes out to be Q square by 2C. This is the work done, or this only is the energy which is stored in the capacitor. I can derive two more formulas using the formula for the capacitance, putting the values there. Either you can use the energy formula to be half Q square by C, or it can be obtained as half CV square. You have to simply substitute the value of the charge Q from here, or it can be written as half QV. These three formulas are there for the energy which is stored in the capacitor. Instead of W, of course, this is the amount of the work done, and since this only is the energy which is stored, I can use the symbol U, which is the energy stored in the capacitor. This formula is a utility formula. We are going to see this formula later on when we are going to study the parallel plate capacitor also. So let us now start with the parallel plate capacitor, and to move to the parallel plate capacitor, let us take the example of single plate, which is a conducting plate. So if I am taking a single plate here and start giving charge to this, and the charge will distribute itself uniformly over the surface, I need to do some work, and the work done will be stored in the form of potential energy, and the potential energy we have just derived the formula, it is half Q into V. Since it is a conducting plate and I want to give more and more charge to this plate, that means it must be having certain capacity to hold some maximum charge. That means beyond that charge I cannot give further charge to this. So let us now come to the parallel plate capacitor, and to understand the concept we'll first study the single conducting plate, and then gradually we'll move towards the construction of the parallel plate. Why we need to shift from a single plate to the parallel plate, and parallel plate to fill with some insulator. That is the best configuration which is available there in the market. But what was the need of shifting from the spherical conducting shell to the plate, and that to a parallel plate which is filled with the insulator? That story gradually will gain. So assuming that a single conducting plate is there, and you have given a charge of, say, plus 10 coulomb, pure assumption, and the potential of this plate by giving a charge of plus 10 coulomb, assuming that the value is 100 volts. So can we calculate the capacitance with such parameters using the simple formula C is equal to Q by V? Yes, I can do that. So the value of the C comes out to be 10 divided by 100, which is 0.1 farad. I want to increase the capacitance. I want that, okay, for the same potential more and more of the charge can be given. So what I did now, next part, near the same plate, let me call this plate A, near the same plate A, I have brought another plate, plate B. And this plate A is, of course, it is charged 10 coulomb only. And the potential of this plate was initially that we took was 100 volt. Now what will happen when we bring the plate B near to this? Will it change the charge that can be stored over there, or will the potential is going to sacrifice? So let us understand, since the value here is positive and deposited uniformly all over the plate, and the plate B that I have taken here is not carrying any charge. So what will happen? It is going to induce some charge on the plate B. So a charge minus Q will be induced plate B, and the same charge will appear on the other side of the plate B. Now what will happen? There are two sides of the plate B. One is the left side, which is carrying the negative charge, and the negative charge is a little closer to this plate, so it is going to offer a negative potential. This left side is going to offer a negative potential, and say the negative potential is 20 volt, left side. And the right side, since is a little further, the distance is a little more in comparison to the negative charge. Negative charge was at this much distance, the positive charge is at this much distance. So when we increase the distance, obviously potential should be less. Let me take this value. So what is going to happen to the potential of the plate A in relation to the plate B? Initially also we took the potential to be 100 volts. Since potential is not a isolated term, we always find the potential with respect to infinity. Since no other plate is there, so we will take the potential with respect to infinity. Potential of A here will be measured with respect to the plate B. So what will be the potential here? The net potential of the plate A with respect to B will be 100 volt, the self potential, negative 20 volt offered by the negative side, and 15 volt offered by this right hand side. So the net potential comes out to be 95 volt. So what has happened to this? By bringing this plate B near to the plate A, the potential has gone down. Potential is decreased. If the potential is decreased here, that means I want to keep the potential 100 volt. I want to keep it 100 only. How will the potential rise? From 95, I want the potential to gain the same initial value, which was 100 volt. That means if I want to increase the potential from 95 volt back to 100 volt, what should I do? Since the potential is directly proportional to the charge here, so I want to increase the potential, that means more and more of the charge should be given, keeping this R factor constant. So you have to increase the charge to increase the potential back to 100 volt. Assuming that the charge that I have increased over here is, say, I can now add in 10 coulomb charge more to this, pure assumption. So what is the total charge now? The total charge now that can be given to is plus 20 coulomb. How will it affect the capacitance? Obviously the capacitance should increase, because now the plate A can store more charge at the same 100 volt potential. Here too the potential was 100 volt. Here too the potential I am trying to keep 100 volt. In order to keep the potential same, I am increasing the charge. So what will happen to the capacitance? Let us calculate the capacitance very quickly. Here in this case, the capacitance becomes C is equal to Q by V. And what is the charge now? The charge I am giving to this is now 20 coulomb, and the potential I am keeping same 100 volt. So the value comes out to be 0.2 farad. Just compare the values. In the first case, the capacitance, when we were having just a single plate, the capacitance was 0.1 farad. Potential 100 volt. Second case, when the second plate B is kept near the plate A, the capacitance increases to 0.2 farad, double of this. My motive is to increase the capacitance further. And how can I do that? So let us see what more can be done. One plate A given to me. Initially the value of the charge we assumed to be 10 coulomb and the potential of this was 100 volt. Next thing we did was another plate B was kept near this plate A, due to which the charge that I could give to the plate A was not plus 10 coulomb but it was plus 20 coulomb. It was plus 20 coulomb. That was the situation, and the voltage was kept same. The capacitance almost increases to double the initial value. The third thing in this case I am going to do is that all this charge I am going to ground. Just before we discuss that what is the potential of the earth, we take the potential of earth to be 0. If the potential of earth, this symbol is for earthing, that we are providing earthing to this side of the plate. That means the electrons, they will move to this side and neutralize the positive charge. So the positive charge once is neutralized, I have removed the earthing here. I did not pass on this statement that the positive charge will go to the ground. Positive charge can never move. Why? Because it is heavier in comparison to the electron. It is easy for the electron to move from the ground to the right hand side and neutralize the positive charge. Anyways, now there is no charge over here. So I am left with only the negative charge. So let us try the same practice again. Potential of this we are keeping to be 100 volt for the plate A. Let me write it here, 100 volt here. What will happen to the plate B? The plate B is just having a negative charge, just negative charge. So this is going to offer the potential, negative potential, and assuming that the negative potential that is offered is minus 20 volt. So what is the effective potential of A with respect to B now? The effective potential of A with respect to B is 100 minus 20 and it comes out to be 80 volt. Potential has decreased to 80 volt, but I want the potential to be same 100 volt. That means to bring the voltage back to 100 volt, I want to increase the voltage, I must increase the charge keeping all the other parameters same. That means the charge should be increased. That means I can give more charge now to the plate A. If I can give more charge to the plate A, that means I am increasing the charge keeping the potential same, so the capacitance should further rise. So assuming that now the charge that I can give to this plate is, total charge that I can give is 30 coulomb. It can store a total charge of 30 coulomb after this configuration, after earthing. So can we calculate the capacitance now? The capacitance here is C is equal to Q by V and the charge is 30 and here the potential is 100 volt and the value comes out to be 0.3 farad. Just compare the values. In the case of single plate it was 0.1, in the case of double plate it was 0.2, and in the case of double plate with this outside configuration grounded, capacitance has further increased. Can we increase the capacitance more? Because what my strategy is that I should do the minimum effort. The potential should be same and the capacitance should rise. How can we do that? For that we are going to introduce some insulating medium in between the two plates of the capacitor. And how does that makes a difference to the capacitance that we are going to study? That is going to be our next target.